Welcome, everybody, to the Dalles Area Chamber Community Affairs. It's the last Thursday in May already, May 28th. Our guest this morning, Mayor Rich Mays, City of the Dalles. And Lee is joining us here. Mayor, thank you. I'm going to start with organizational updates as I invite people to listen to each of Rich's different topics. We have several on board this morning, and then welcome to ask Rich questions at the end of each topic. Of course, put them in the chat box as well, and of course, any events, information, contact information you'd like to include, please put that in the chat box as well. But right now, we're going to start with Mr. Roger Nichols, and then I'm going to turn it over to Bill Lennox for updates. Roger, yeah, take it away, sir.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I'm on the board of the original Wasco County Courthouse, and one of the things that I've done over the past 10 years finally is get all of the original courthouse presentations that we had in the days before video, all the audio stuff going back to the 70s. It's all digitized and it's available for purchase in the Shameless Commerce Division of the original Wasco County Courthouse. And it costs as much as $5 a program or up to down to $1 program if you want to buy all 165 of them. So I will put my contact information is in the chat already, both email and phone. And I will also mention that my side gig is if you have a coin that needs evaluation, I'm your guy. I've been doing it for lawyers for estates for the last 16 years. So also I'm on the Gorge Commission if you have any questions about that. So thank you.
Thank you, Roger. And I believe that you're going to be talking a lot about coins and currency in a few weeks here.
Yes, indeed. I've got some wonderful stories, including some of the most amazing, how should we put it, people who got away with it with a very clever way of twisting the system.
mm-hmm. Mr. Bill Lennox, and then we'll turn it over to Trish Neal.
Excellent. Well, Roger, you need to keep us posted on when these things are going to be coming up. That should be a lot of fun. I'm Bill Lennox, and I'm with the North Central Public Health District, and I'm going to keep everything really short because I think I'd like to move on and get caught up on what the Mayor Mays is up to. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Trish, and then Jake Anderson. Trish, go ahead.
Good morning. Trish Neal with Legal Shield, longtime chamber member. And I still have my feet in the Dalles, and I just posted the master list for all those recordings that Roger Nichols has done. I'm also the webmaster, and all our February forums are linked off of that page too. And I will put my contact information for Legal Shield in the chat.
Sounds good. Thank you, Trish. Jake, and then Scott McKay.
Good morning, Jacob Anderson. I'll keep this short because Rich is going to be giving us updates. At our most recent urban renewal meeting, the board authorized an additional $50,000 to be used for our downtown pilot rejuvenation projects. You've seen the downtown starting to spruce up a little bit. That's through those up to $7,500 per building rejuvenation grants that are 100% match. So we've got a lot of the downtown businesses that are in queue, and we're making good progress.
Thank you, Jake. Sounds good. Scott, and then Corliss.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Scott McKay. I'm currently the chair of the Senior Advisory Council for the CAPCO Area Agency on Aging. It covers from Hood River out to Umatilla County. And Phil Brady was one of our members that represented Wasco County. And unfortunately, since he's no longer with us, we're looking for someone to fill his place to represent Wasco County and represent older adults. The commitment is just 2 hours once a week, once a month on the second Thursday. So if you are interested in knowing more about what's happening regarding older adults and would like to contribute, just contact me by phone or email, and we'll get you signed up. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. And Scott, be sure to put your phone and email in the chat box for people. Thank you. Corliss, and then we'll turn this over to Philip. Corliss, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Corliss Marsh. I'm with Habitat for Humanity and the library and the senior center. No updates. Just wanting to hear Rich.
Okay, thank you, Corliss. Philip Mosher, and then Mike Wacker.
Good morning, everybody. Philip Masha, Sotheby's Realty. Much like last week, I put in a note about the Grand Dalles Music Festival in the chat. That is happening this weekend. 3 days of concerts, dances, jamming, and outdoor performances all over town. Hoping to see as many people as possible turn up for that. I also have a little bit more personal request. Uh, I'm involved in a project trying to create a historic overview of a really fantastic old Queen Anne Victorian estate in Wasco, similar to what I did for the William Bennett House here in the Dalles. It's locally referred to as the Mansion on the Hill, and it is truly an amazing estate that overlooks Wasco. And I've done a bunch of research, met with the Historical Society there, and gone through their archives, and I'm very surprised at how little information I'm finding. So I'll put some information in the chat box. If anyone has ideas of where I could do some more research to find information on this estate, I would much appreciate it. And thanks. That's it for me.
Thank you, Phil. I remember seeing a photo. It is a beautiful building. Mike, and then Julie Reynolds.
Good morning, everyone. I'm with the Dalles Kiwanis Club and Fort Dalles Museum. I just want to mention our old-fashioned Flag Day coming up on June 14th at the Fort Dalles Museum. Patriotic music with some of the Cascade Singers, costume interpreters presenting a new flag. The Boy Scouts are going to raise the flag, and then there'll be a special presentation from the executive director at the Celta Historical Society. Oh, and the Kiwanis Club is going to bake cookies for that. So there will be cookies and beverages. You all have a good day. Thanks.
Right. Thank you for all those updates, Mike. And also, please feel free to put details in the chat. Very good to know. Julie, and then Heather.
Good morning. I'm Julie Reynolds, down at the historic Fort Dalles, the historic St. Paul's Chapel at 5th and Union. We're getting ready to start giving tours probably once a month when the farmers market opens, and we'll have our signboard out in front, and there will be docents there to welcome you to the building and give you a tour if you like. And also I'm on the city representative on the Fort Dalles Museum Commission. What's coming up for us on Flag Day, June 14th, is a program with a reenactment of a very early 1900s flag raising ceremony. So we will be raising a new flag. There will be an historic costumed reenactor to talk about the connection between Fort Dalles and Fort Simcoe and what was going on with the wars with the natives at that time. It should be really interesting. Starts at noon, and there'll be more information about that coming out soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And I think Fort Simcoe, there's still a blockhouse up out of Goldendale. Cool.
Well, there's really Fort Sim. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, different. Yeah, no, it's a different
Fort Simcoe's
That's right,
way
farther
up
up.
there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Thank you, Julie. Heather, and then Lee Weinstein. Heather Land.
I think she just stepped away.
Yeah, I'll bet that's it. Lee, I'll turn it over to you, and then Liz, then we'll circle back. Go ahead, Lee.
Sure, Lee Weinstein. And a quick update out here in unincorporated Wasco County, we're organizing neighbors with a phone tree as wildfire season begins out here. So we are developing a phone tree for people on Skyline, Obrist, Pleasant Ridge Road, and 5 Mile Road. So if we do have a wildfire, we can get a message out to people here, and people could show up and help if we can suppress it and deal with embers. Thanks to everybody who organized the Neighbors Helping Neighbors forum last week at the Granada. I wish we would have had that theater filled. This is a really scary time. Our farmer just basically said it is so dry, and the ponds are drying up and everything else. And it's going to be a really, I think, pretty wicked season. So we need to be smart. Thanks.
Indeed we do, Lee, and we've got lightning forecast for tonight. which is not going to help anything unless we get some decent rain. If everybody is not signed up for Watch Duty, the app Watch Duty, please do so. Liz and then Brian.
Morning, everyone. Liz Wilbur, Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation. No updates for today.
All right. Thank you, Liz.
Brian,
Brian,
yeah, Jack retired.
That's it, Brian? Oh, come on. All
Watching
right.
kids.
All right. Heather, we'll see if Heather's checked back with us. Heather Land. If not, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Rich Mays. Rich, take it away, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. First, I'd like to acknowledge the unfortunate and untimely passing of Phil Brady. We had a city council meeting Monday night, and I said a few words, and all of our council members chimed in and talked about Phil and the legacy he's left behind. I first met Phil in February of 2018. Many of you know that when I just moved to town and thought about running for mayor, I reached out to people, community leader types, like several people who are listening in today. And I would have coffee with them and talk about the city and their hopes for the future. And because I didn't know very many people, I would reach out to these people and say, who else should I be talking to? And invariably, everybody that I talked to would say, you need to talk to Phil Brady.
Yep.
So I met with Phil at what is now the Enza Cafe in February 2018, which was 9 months before the election. And after I was elected, came to work with Phil on a variety of projects, but of course he was on the county board and worked with him closer there. Met with him several times and found him to be just a class act, compassionate. And the thing about Phil was all he was interested in doing was what was in the best interest of the community. And I always admired him for that. And what a legacy he's left behind, as well as a very interesting background with his travels throughout the world and his experiences here in the Dalles. So again, he's going to be missed and missed a lot. And let's see where this goes from here with the county. I was last here on April 9th, so that was only 6 or 7 weeks ago. I think everybody wanted to have me come back and give updates. I'm not sure if that's flattering or whether it's dangerous, but here I am. I've been gone 2 out of the last 3 weeks. I came back, and several of these subjects I'll be talking about have some amounts of controversy, some more than others. I'll start with the Federal Street project. That's just beginning construction, I think just last week. We have a really good consultant on board, Walker Macy, and a really great committee. The committee has met 19 times over the past, it's going on almost 2 years now. And I want to acknowledge their participation on this committee. Ben Rang, Dan Richardson, who are both on our city council, Beth Stelzer, who owns the farm stand, Marcus Swift, Jorge Barragan, Kristen Lilovic, and our city manager, Matthew Klebs. We made some great progress. The design, we had an open house, and like I said, we've had 19 public meetings. The little bit of controversy that has come up had been with the bricks that were installed many years ago. People had contributed to restore the transportation building that's located in the plaza. I want to point out that in addition to the plaza and the water feature and all the other attributes of this Federal Street Plaza, we're putting about $400,000 into that building to revamp it, and we're anticipating that the Veterans Museum will be moving there from City Hall. So as far as the bricks are concerned, the bricks are coming out, and there are some people that are very concerned about that because of the historic contributions those people made to contribute money to get that building restored many years ago. And what the committee discussed the other night, I was not there, I was out of town, but was to restore either the bricks or a large plaque with all the names of the people that contributed. So there will be some historic remnants of that effort, I think, that's going to happen as part of the plaza renovations that are going to be taking place. So we have not decided what's going to happen yet, but there will definitely be something that will acknowledge that those contributions those people made. I'm not sure when that was. Maybe somebody here knows. I think it was like 30 years ago. The other thing that's going to come up, which is interesting, I think, is going to be what we're going to name the plaza. And the committee discussed ways that I don't know if we're going to have some kind of contest or have people, submit names on what they think. If anybody here has any ideas on what they like to see in the way of the plaza, we can leave it as Federal Street Plaza, or we can. There's been some sentiment for the original name of that was supposed to be Patriots Park. But when the first concept of this plaza came up many years ago, so again, if anybody has any ideas, you can email me or call me or whatever. But we're always interested in good ideas on what we're going to name what is now called the Federal Street Plaza. The other project that's going on, of course, is our sewer project down First Street and the port, going down to the port area. It's actually a sanitary sewer and storm sewer project. A lot of people don't realize that this is actually the third phase of the sewer project that happened. The first phase was in 2019, the second phase in 2022, and of course the third phase this year. And when it's all completed, it will have gone from just west of Union Street on First all the way to the Second Street cul-de-sac to the far west side of the city. Now, the controversy, of course, happened when there's certain businesses that have been more affected than others, most notably the Bargeway Restaurant. And I think the city council and the staff have always wanted to provide access to that particular area of the city from two different directions, from the east and the west. And we have done that. And I would also like to encourage people to frequent the Bargeway, because the Bargeway is probably more impacted, being a retail business, more impacted than any of the other businesses down there. Having said that, I think it was it's been about 3 weeks now when the city council held a special city council meeting to address the issue. And they voted 5-0. They had 5 alternatives. They selected an alternative that called for having our contractor, Crestline, work through weekends for the next, I think, 6 or 7 weekends. And by doing that, we shortened the project by 9 days, and the city will be spending an additional $118,000 to make that happen. We're also investing about $30,000 in additional signage to help direct traffic, because Weber, of course, is closed. And I want to stress too that it's not really a cost issue as much as it is a time issue, because it's important that we get that project done as quickly as possible, especially as it relates to the First Street project, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But we want to make sure that one project gets done on a timely basis in order to accommodate the other project. Speaking of First Street, of all the projects, this has been the most frustrating because it's been a lot of delay. We've had change orders. We've also had archaeological issues down there. There are several archaeologists working, and for whatever reason, the construction has stalled because of the archaeological issues. We had a couple of change orders that have cost us 6 figures due to some water or sewer lines breaking in that area. And at some point, because of this project, Union Street is going to have to close right by the railroad tracks. And when that happens, we have to make sure that the sewer project that I mentioned before was in fact complete, or at least I shouldn't say the project complete, but have Weber Street open at that point. I want to just talk about, because I oftentimes say, or people ask me, why are we doing the First Street project? What's the attraction there? Well, first of all, we've invested a lot of money in that project over a 12-year period. And I, for one, would like to see us make use of that investment. It's really the gateway to our city. It's people passing on the interstate, and we're going to be having a lot of really nice landscaping there. There's also safety and liability issues with the sidewalks and what's underneath those sidewalks, especially between Union and Court and Court and Washington. And we also would like to link this project with the Federal Street project, as well as the river and the trail that's going to be eventually, we're hoping, happen along the Mill Creek, that would link it with the plaza and with First Street. So when it's completed, I think it's going to be a wonderful addition to the downtown along with the plaza. And I'm looking forward to getting that project complete. I will say too that I think I think many cities are, especially us, are taking advantage of what is really a buyer's market when it comes to construction. The three projects that I've talked about so far, the sewer project, the Federal Street project, and the First Street project, have been the beneficiary of low bids. We've had all three of those projects have come in well under bid, which makes any change orders that have been happening, to raise the cost of the project that much more palatable because of the fact that those projects have all come in under what we originally expected. So we're very gratified about that. We also have been through the 2026-27 budget process. Usually, the budget committee, which is made up of the city council and 5 members of the public, and I think some of you at least, have served on the budget committee in the past. We met in the first week of May, and this year, usually those budget committees take 3 nights. This year it only took 2 nights, and I think the biggest reason for that was because we changed the process by which nonprofits apply to the city to get funding for their particular nonprofit. This includes, of course, the fireworks, the link bus, the museums, etc. We completely redid that process. In the past, the process has been the nonprofits have appeared before the budget committee. They've pleaded their case to the budget committee, and the committee makes a recommendation to the city council as to how much each of those nonprofits get funded and to what extent, over what period of time. This year, I think it worked out a lot better. In the past, the budget committee meetings had been pretty much dominated by this process. Without a doubt, the biggest length of time has taken place with these nonprofits pleading their case to the city council and to the budget committee. But the new process is that the budget committee sets the amount that's going to be applied to these nonprofits in the application. That amount was set the other night, or I should say 3 weeks ago at the budget committee meeting. And the nonprofits that are interested in getting additional funding from the city would apply in the summer. And then the staff would put together those requests. They would take them to the city council. There would be some very specific criteria by which the city council can award the different amounts to the different nonprofits. And it'll be purely a city council decision. And instead of prolonging the budget committee to a 3-night, we got it done in 2 nights. And this will, of course, extend the amount of time the city council is going to be spending. But I think it's a good process. It's going to be much more streamlined, and I think you're going to see some very specific criteria that the city council can use to evaluate each of these requests as they come in. So it should be an interesting. I think it's a better process, and I think our city staff deserves some credit for coming up with it. We are also now, if you recall, it's been over a year now since we passed our water master plan. The water master plan calls for, which is something that's required of the city, as well as a sewer plan, which I'll talk about in a second. But our master plan was passed about 18 months ago, and the big thing, the big takeaway from that water master plan is that the city has literally millions of dollars that need to be spent to renovate the Wicks water plant, which is about 7 or 8 miles south of the city, expansion of the Crow Creek Dam and the reservoir, and also the water lines that connect the water plant with the rest of the city. Those water lines are, in some cases, 75 years old. The water plant itself is 75 years old. So a lot of money has to be invested in these 3 areas to make this happen. So the other night, for the first time, the city council got into the sewer master plan, which is going to take place. A consultant has been hired. And just like with the water master plan, there'll be a plan for the future, so to speak, with some of the improvements that need to be made there. I don't anticipate that it'll be the extent as far as the expense goes to to upgrade our sewer system, our wastewater treatment plant, but it should be an interesting process as we get it. I'm sure that'll take us into the year 2027. As I said, I think the last subject I'm going to talk about is kind of a follow-up to April 9th when I was here the last time. And that is what's going on with the Google and what's been happening. When I was here the last time on April 9th, I talked about the history of Google in the Dalles and how they came here in 2005 and how I really took it back to the 1950s with the Harvey aluminum plant and how it went out of business in the year 2000. Google came in later, and of course, I talked about the benefits that Google has brought to the community in the way of finances to the city as well as infrastructure. Throughout that time, most recently, since April 9th, I think some things have certainly developed that I think have been somewhat interesting to say the least. The Water Master Plan I mentioned before talked about the expansion of our reservoir, which is very important to us. And our attempts to expand that reservoir actually go back to the 1990s. And we want to expand that because of the reduced snowpack, south of where the water plant is and the reservoir actually, and we want to be able to accommodate future growth within the city. And to do that, we are attempting to acquire 150 acres of forest land property that's owned by the United States Forest Service to enable us to expand that reservoir on property that we own as opposed to the Forest Service. I might add that the Forest Service has always been very supportive of our effort to acquire that 150 acres. And by the way, the watershed where this 150 acres is located is about 22,000 acres. So, again, we think it's important for us to control that land. About 2 years ago, Dave Anderson, our retired public works director, I think can be credited as being the architect of the whole water plant, the water system and the water master plan. And for those of you that know Dave, know that he's a very capable guy. Many of you know that I was a city manager for 28 years. I think I counted 6 different public works directors that actually worked for me. And I don't know of any of them, and I have met no one since that knows more about water systems, water rights than Dave Anderson. So Cliff Bentz, our local congressman, came to visit the Dalles about 2 years ago, and Dave talked to him about acquiring this 150 acres. And Cliff asked, Congressman Bentz asked Dave, what is it you really want? And Dave said, well, there's many, federal grants that'll help us acquire this property. We'd like to get your support to get some of these grants. And Congressman Bentz said, well, heck with the grants. Why don't we just give it to you? And of course, we said, great. Why don't you just give it to us? So that led to House Bill 655, which was submitted by Congressman Bentz into Congress about a year ago. And I went to Washington, D.C. like almost exactly a year ago this month, and testified for the bill and received a lot of encouragement from both sides of the aisle and had no reason to believe that this was an issue at all. Everything was looking great. And then about 3 or 4 months ago, I think it's fair to say the roof caved in earlier this year due to some reporting that I think was kind of questionable, but I think that's been discussed a lot. But I think the whole thing has been spread, and it's really become a national story. Sometimes I'll get calls and phone calls sometimes at home from people that are opposed to the bill because they link it to data centers and to Google in particular. And I had my own theory on how this happened. My original theory was that, and let me preface my original theory, and that is that as a city manager and as a mayor, I always thought that I get more accomplished if people don't know my personal politics. And that was very easy as a city manager. It's a little harder as mayor, but I'm not going to start now getting into that. But I mentioned that because what I'm about to say, I would like to say it in a nonpartisan context and not have anybody take offense. So my first reaction to all this that was happening with this rhetoric was that it was the Democratic Party because we have an election coming up and Cliff Pence is a Republican. So I thought, well, maybe they're just out to get him. Um, so I thought that the bill had become linked to data centers and Google in particular, and which is completely false because, as I said, the attempts to acquire this reservoir go back to the 1990s. So really, Google had nothing to do with our attempt to get this 150 acres. The other factor in this was social media. Ever since the school bond failed 2 years ago, I don't go on social media. I have other people that go on there and tell me what's going on. But some of the rhetoric that has been on social media regarding this attempt to acquire the 150 acres is getting totally bizarre. There have been hundreds of comments. Many of them have been by non-residents of the city. Many of them have been fake profiles, and a lot of them have not only been from people who don't live in the Dalles, they come from people who don't even live in Oregon. I have 1,200 Facebook friends, and many of the names in there, I didn't recognize any of them. And so I'm thinking, why would people that don't even live in Oregon care about our attempt to acquire 150 acres out of a watershed that has 22,000 acres and is already publicly owned? And I came to realize that they weren't after the city of the Dalles. They weren't after Congressman Bentz. It wasn't the Democrats that were doing it. I think, a nationwide effort that is after data centers and its cousin, artificial intelligence. Now, why do I think this? Well, let's look at the characteristics of some of this rhetoric. First, it's been very sudden. I think just the last 4 months, at least in my experience, it's become overwhelming in its volume. It seems to be orchestrated. It's become nationwide. I've talked with officials of Google, and they're hearing it from people that other big tech firms like Facebook and Amazon, et cetera. It seems to be a nationwide effort. The thing that kind of gets me about the whole thing, there seems to be a connection with artificial intelligence, which data centers, artificial intelligence. And the people that have called me at home, even there haven't been very many, but they always get down on data centers, Google, and they always mention AI. And it's kind of mind-boggling to me. So you have to ask yourself the question, who has the motivation, the resources, and the wherewithal to overwhelm social media with this anti-data center, anti-AI rhetoric? And as a mayor, it's beyond my pay grade to try to figure that out. I'll let you good people have your own opinion. I certainly have mine. I'll kind of keep that to myself right now. But I think it's just a matter of time before maybe the truth comes out on all this and where it's all coming from. Now, having said that, I do think that I think Google in particular and big tech generally should really become more aggressive and more involved with this. I think our community has taken a beating. I think the beating we've taken has been undeserved, and I really think that big tech has to make a more nationwide effort to become more involved in talking about the benefits of data centers. And I think they have to, at the local level, Google has to help us help them, and vice versa, and be more vocal again about the benefits that they bring. The three things you hear about Google or about big tech in particular, and I've been reading, about nationwide stories about this stuff that's going on, especially in Utah, where I grew up in near the St. Louis area, Maryland and Virginia. And that is that, they pollute the air, they suck up all the water and leave the communities high and dry, and they use up all the power. The governor of Oregon has formed a task force now to look at all data centers, and those subjects are three of the subjects that they're the committee the task force that's been set up to look at this. And I think big tech and I think Google have to be more vocal about the fact that they have nothing to gain by polluting the air or sucking the town dry or causing brownouts all over the place. They become true community partners here. They've contributed a lot to the school district, for example, and certainly to the city of the Dalles and to other nonprofits. And I would think that the last thing they'd want to do is have that kind of rhetoric besmirch their reputation. And like I said, I think we've been dragged into it to a certain extent, but we have been, trying to counter this. I think our staff has set up a really good website page that talks about the Bill 655 and the benefits. Some of the misinformation that is out there about the bill. And I think our staff has done a great job with that. I would encourage some of you, if you haven't done it already, to go to that website page. There's a box that is labeled House Bill 655, the Dalles Watershed Act. I would encourage you to go on there. There's a Q&A that talks about the bill and the water situation and so on and so forth. So anyway, I'm very encouraged that we'll see what happens with this bill. I know our two senators are being besieged with emails and telegrams from people that are encouraging our two senators to vote against the bill. It has passed the House. It passed the House last year overwhelmingly, but it is in the Senate and has languished there for several months now. And I'm not sure what's going to happen with it, but I know that Senators Merkley and Wyden have at least publicly said that they're still weighing the evidence and have not decided how they want to vote on it. So with that, that's pretty much the update from what I have to say, and I'd be happy to answer any questions from anybody at this point. Let's see what time it is here. I think we've left plenty of time for any questions. So
it looks like Bill first and then Roger.
Great. Thanks. So my question is, Mayor Mays, so what would happen if the bill fails, and how does that leave things? And tell me about what the impact of that would be.
If the bill fails, we're not going to stop our efforts to either acquire the acreage, or we'll just have to work with the Forest Service to do what we've always done, and that is we work with the Forest Service to build our facilities. And so if it does not pass, if we give up on our efforts to acquire that acreage, the acreage will still be owned by the Forest Service. I'm sure the Forest Service will, as they have for the last 30 or 40 years, will work with us and will expand our reservoir into property we do not own, or nor would we control, which would mean that we would have to go through a special use permit process with the Forest Service like we do now, which costs us 6 figures every time we have to do it. And it'll be cumbersome and it'll be bureaucratic and it'll be a lot of red tape, but it's important for us to expand that reservoir for the future. And by the way, that's not going to happen for, 10 more years at least. So, but yeah, to answer your question, and we're going to continue to try to improve our water system and work with the Forest Service to do it on their land. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's obviously it opens up the door for lots of other questions too, but that's the thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Roger, you go ahead, sir.
Thank you. And welcome to see you, Mayor, again. I have 2 questions for you. One of them is, a lot of the people still don't understand the fact that the city's got a big windfall in money from Google and really don't understand what you're doing with it. I think it might be time to let people know about that again. And the other is, what's the part of their job that people don't understand that you would like them to know about?
I'll answer the second question first. I think people get confused about the difference between a manager and the city manager and the mayor. And I've done both. And some people, once you explain the difference, they ask the natural question after that is, what's the biggest difference between the two, other than the fact the city manager runs the day-to-day operations and the mayor presides over the city council, we make policy. I'll tell them that as a city manager, I had a lot more power and authority than I do as the mayor. As the mayor, of course, you got to build consensus. And most, as you know, I don't have a vote. But I like to think I do have some influence with the other 5. So anyway, that's the answer to your second question. What was the first question again?
Oh, what the city is doing with the Google money, because I think there's some confusion out there about that.
The money, some of the money is there's four sources of revenue from the last 2 anyway. There's property tax revenue, payments in lieu of taxes, system development charges, and also the other assorted fees and charges that go with it. As I said back on April 9th, I'm expecting that the total revenue that's going to be coming into this to the community, not just the city, is about $230 million over 4 overlapping 15-year periods. And if the 4 overlapping is because we've negotiated 4 deals. So our general fund, which supports the bulk of the city's day-to-day operations, will be the recipient of a lot of that money. Capital projects is going to be the biggest recipient because the revenue we're going to be getting from Google is going to be very unpredictable. Property taxes that you get are a function of your assessed value, and those assessed values are going to fluctuate based on the depreciation of the servers that are inside those buildings. So we are going to take most of that money and put it towards capital projects. A large portion of that money is going to be going toward paying off the aforementioned expenses associated with that water master plan. Every city, when they do improvements to their water and sewer systems, have to raise their fees to the residents in order to pay for those charges. No property tax money goes into that. It's all through fees and charges. We're going to be using a lot of the revenue from Google to offset the increase in charges for the water service and to the sewer services. So the general fund, capital projects, water system, those are the main recipients of the money that we're getting.
Thank you
That's
so
just the
much.
city. Now, keep in mind that other taxing bodies are getting their share. And I also want to point out, as most of you probably know, that the original facility that was negotiated in 2005 and opened in 2007, that enterprise zone 15-year period expired a couple of years ago. And since then, Google has been paying over $5 million in property tax revenue just on that first facility. They've announced plans to renovate that facility and gut it out and rebuild it. And I think we're going to see a 1 or 2 year period where we're not going to be getting a very minimal tax revenue off that first facility. But when it's rebuilt, it'll be generating more tax revenue than the $5 million that we're getting now. So we'll see what happens with that. The 2 new data centers, we're getting more. I think I pointed this out previously in other presentations to this group, and that is that the 2 new data centers that have been constructed, we're getting more revenue off that than the first 3 combined. So does that
Thank
answer
you
your
much.
question, Roger? Okay.
Perfectly, and I'm glad we went with a SIP instead of an enterprise zone. Much better.
Well, we told Google just when I became mayor, we told them that we were not interested in doing an enterprise zone, and they were totally fine with that, and that's why we decided to do the SIP. So,
And a question from Mike Wacker.
I actually don't have a question, but Dave Anderson is going to be the speaker at the Kiwanis Club a week from today. Because there is a lot of confusion about the water. So I contacted David, and he said he would come and talk. So everyone's welcome to come to a Kiwanis meeting, but and plus Dave does a wonderful presentation. So anyhow, a week from today, Kiwanis Club noon at Spookies.
I'll tell you, Dave retired a year ago, and he has been so great and cooperative with this whole controversy. He is just he responded to the original article that had come out, which is a lengthy article. He's helped with a lot of the the responses that we've been able to use on our website, and a great guy. And as I said before, I've never known anybody in my 40-year career in public service that knows more about water than Dave Anderson. I'm sure he'll do a great job at the Kiwanis meeting. He actually came with me to a Lions Club meeting, and we made a presentation there. I'm thinking about 2 or 3 months ago on this whole thing. So, and I was, as Scott knows, I was at the Rotary Club meeting yesterday talking about some of this. So,
well, it is unfortunate that these 2 issues, data center and the watershed, have become intermixed, because as a former counselor myself and a good friend of mine, Dave's predecessor, Brian Stahl, Public Works Director here, and actually Water Department Director before that, that issue of the watershed goes back decades. I think it's even back into the 70s perhaps, but trying to expand that capacity, and with climate change just pushing it to the forefront. Data centers, and AI especially, that's another issue entirely.
Yeah, it sure is.
Other questions for Rich?
Yeah, this is Brian. This Rich, I mean, since you kind of talked about data centers, do you know anything about what's going on with the one discussion about the one in Dallesport or potential one in Dallesport?
Um, no, I don't. I've heard about it, but I've got on this side of the river too much going on to really be that concerned. I'm not really sure how that would impact our airport, or maybe Jake would have some knowledge about that. I don't really know much about it, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Brian, to confirm Dallesport or the old smelter plant up at Goldendale?
The article I saw online, I thought it was the Dallesport. So it's like one of the Cherigors has a couple 300 acres over there, and I think they're looking at options here. And so I was just curious if anybody knew any more about that other than what's been in print so far.
Let's put Jake on the spot. Jake, have you heard anything?
All the data center discussion I've heard of is at the old aluminum smelter site, southeast of Goldendale. The area where I believe it's Webster Orchards bought, they're looking to put houses in on their property, last I heard.
Interesting. Okay. Good question, Brian. Roger, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, the article he's talking about was online for the Goldendale Sentinel that came upon yesterday, and it said that there was a very large real estate firm that put a posting on their website with a drawing about it, and then later took it back. So if you go to goldendalesentinel.com and look online, you should be able to find that out. I'll try to put a link, find it and put a link in here because it mentions specifically Dallesport. So, but it also said they had a lot of dead ends trying to find out who was doing what.
Well, being a resident of Klickitat County these days, I think I'll reach out to my county commissioners and see if I could figure out what's going on. Thank you.
Yeah, Dan, get on it.
I'll let you know.
Yeah,
you know.
and you can host one of your programs with you being the guest speaker. How's that?
I'll see if I can get Commissioner Zoller over here. Maybe there's enough crossover issue. Other questions for Rich? My goodness. With all those topics. Oh, Rich, I've got one from earlier. The grants process, the city grants process. Is it too early or do you have a deadline established for that application? I think you mentioned coming up this summer.
Yeah, it is too early. I'm not sure the exact date, but it is, I think it's going to be in the summer, and people should keep their ear to the ground and check out the city's website. We've really made some great additions and improvements to that website. And Amy L., our city clerk and a public information officer, has done a super job really improving the outreach that we're doing. A lot of it because of the 655 bill, but so much more information is on there now, and it's much more better formatted. So I would encourage people to keep that up.
Going back, Lee, go ahead.
And this may have been discussed elsewhere, so if you don't want to answer this, Mayor, that's fine. But I'm curious, what's going on with the high school and getting us a new high school with all the Google money and everything else? Seems like our number one priority ought to be getting a new high school.
I agree with that, and I worked very hard 2 years ago to try to get that referendum passed. It failed. It was 2018. It failed 59 to 41%. In 2000, I guess it was 23 that. So November that it was 52 to 48. So it was closer. I was encouraged. Then we had a school board election about a year ago. We've had 4 new school board members. I was hopeful that the board would get it together and get something going. I've really tried to keep in contact because I met with all 4 of those board members after they got elected. I think, and I'll say this too, that before that election, we had met with the school district to try to utilize some of the Google money to help them offset the cost of a bond. And I think the school district, for whatever reason, bless their hearts, they're volunteers like I am, and they work hard. I think they're very distracted right now with some internal issues, and not the least of which is, of course, is they just replaced one new board member who resigned, and now they have another school board member who resigned. So now they have to fill that position. So I have not heard anything encouraging to come out of there that would lead me to believe that they're ready to start talking and planning for a new high school.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Understand.
I don't think anybody has worked harder on that issue than you have through the years. Very few, anyway, to try to get that thing passed. Superintendent Bernal was on a few months ago now, and at that point, I think that there was nothing new to report. But I do think that that's a topic we should focus on here. You know, let's get Superintendent Bernal, maybe the chair of the school board, on this group and try to get some initiative on that one going, because it is critical. Roger.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to comment so much, but this one is important to me. I actually said to the county commission here a couple of years ago, I said, the U.S. government defines antiques, if you're going to bring something back from overseas, as anything 75 years or older. I'm 77, and the school is 9 years older than I am.
Yeah, I want to point out too that the schools are a huge economic development factor in this town, and as everybody knows, it's such an important issue for people that want to move here and settle here. I'm amazed that our population has continued to grow despite the problems with our schools, and it is absolutely critical from an economic development standpoint, if not an educational standpoint, that something happen sooner rather than later. I've given up. I have two grandkids. One's a sophomore and one's in 7th grade, and I've kind of lost hope as to whether we're going to get a new high school by the time they graduate. So anyway, I'm going to be ready and willing to work to make sure it happens, and hopefully the school board and the school district will get maybe there's some things going on that I'm not aware of, but we'll see what happens.
Let's find out. I have a meeting coming up with Lisa tomorrow. Of course, Lisa is retiring, and that was a shocker that we learned about last week. But I'd like to see whether we can perhaps modify the way these meetings proceed, take on some different issues, and maybe some focused discussions, maybe even a monthly focused discussion on intergovernmental updates, things like that. Julie, go ahead.
I'm 100% behind getting a new high school, and actually new grade schools too. I mean, Colonel Wright is very, very old, 100 years, I think. But I'm curious how building a new high school fits with the Portland State Population Center's forecasts that I don't know when their next forecast comes out, but the last one predicted that there would be a decline, or that we wouldn't need as many new housing units as everybody thought we would. Has that changed? What is the situation, and how do you look at a potential influx of children who would be going to schools?
I think that'd be a better question for the school district as to what they're predicting. I'm looking at the total population that includes everybody, of course, not just school kids, and our forecast show a 0.6% increase a year. As to how many of those are school-age children, I just don't know. I'm sorry.
Julie, I would, from my recollection, the PSU process, I think, has been somewhat problematic. I know that cities in the state have questioned some of those projections, but statistics can be a difficult topic. Mike? Mike Wecker, there you go. Oh, Mike, you're on mute. There you go.
Question in the chat about when Dave's speaking, and it's next week, June 4th.
Oh, good.
Anderson will be at the Kiwanis meeting.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Excuse me. Well, we're winding down. Other questions? Rich, go ahead, Bill.
Yeah. Just to follow up, if anybody's walked through the high school lately or done anything, wouldn't matter if we had fewer kids. The fact is that even for the kids that are still there, they need a new school.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really atrocious, a bad representation of our community, and we all know it. And I think I said that's the other frustration. And I know everybody's working so hard to communicate, but I guess when the general public sees something like Google out there building all these plants, and we watch our other parts of our federal government talking about billions of dollars and being used for some incredible things, it's so hard to process the fact that we can't even find ways to come up with enough money to build a school in a community like this. That's where the need is so great. And so I guess, I understand what it's like to be in government, but I also know that sometimes you can have to maybe put some pressure where pressure needs to bear. And I think the idea of bringing this issue to this forum, like you mentioned, Dan, and having this forum talk about it more specifically with the school board and with our government leaders to start talking it up a little bit stronger, that would be really more powerful. Anyway.
Well, I'm going to comment on that sometimes, of course, during the time when I was working to try to get the school bond passed, I would have people come to me and say, let Google build it. They can afford it. And my response to that is, we shouldn't have to count on Google to build us a new high school. Our community should get it together and build it. But what we can do is use Google revenues that we get to offset the cost of that bond, which I mentioned before. I'm a very strong believer in that. Anyway, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Well, and another void that Commissioner Brady leaves, he was a regular on here, and I know that he, on a different administration, he had some strong thoughts on where the county was going with their SIP funding. And that's the question, do you set it aside or do you put it aside for immediate needs? So I think that question is still hanging over there at the county. And we do need to get the county back involved in this forum. I will change hats very briefly.
Sure.
One Community Health. I am on that board here, and we have established a nonprofit foundation at One Community Health. I'm going to be liaison with that, so be looking for some news there. And we're also establishing an advocacy committee for healthcare, because boy, talk about challenges. Let's talk about healthcare and Medicaid cuts. Other final questions for Rich. Mike, you have your hand raised. Scott, go ahead, sir.
Yes, I just like to make sure that we don't forget at the high school, all the excellent teachers that work at the high school, put extra time in. And we're always talking about we need a new high school and kind of put down the high school because of the facility. But we need to remember that it's the staff and the folks that work there that really make the high school. And I remember someone told me that, how do you know how good your dentist is? You look at the waiting room. People look at the waiting room. So we may have the fantastic staff and teachers at the high school, but people look at the facility a lot of times to tell how they think how good the school is. So just give a shout out to the staff who make it work and really help educate our children. Thank you.
I like to echo that. My mother was a teacher, and I think it's the most important job in the world. So,
no argument from any of us on that one. All right, with 1 minute left in the hour, any final updates, questions? If not,
I'll add one quick thing. I do think, having watched this, I supported both those efforts and we donated money, but I think we've got to go out and really listen hard, because there are a lot of people who just don't trust and don't think it's needed, and there's all this stuff, and we're going to have to figure out a way to convince voters, and there's a lot of poverty here, as we know. So I think the listening is going to be,
I agree with that, Lee. I had coffee with many people. I went door to door. I listened to people, and the trust issue is number one. Whether it's valid or not, it's the trust. And I was hoping the new school board would turn that around, and I don't know that they have or haven't, to tell you the truth, but the trust issue is number one, more so than even the cost.
Roger, you have your hand up. Before I want to be sure Salvador has joined us also, so I want to be sure we have time for update from Salvador. Roger, go ahead.
Just very briefly, before everybody goes away, look on I put the link to that article about the potential plant across the river in Dallasport. Please go grab that before the thing closes, because I think you'll find it fascinating.
Let's do that. I'll copy that right now. Roger, thank you. Salvador, updates from the Housing Authority, and welcome.
Hey, everybody. Can everybody hear me fine?
Yes, just fine.
Perfect. Just want to make sure. Basically, the updates are the home repair program for the state of Oregon is starting to go through. I will be going to training next month and around I think he said 9/10 of the month. So we will be actually going full force on getting all those people approved and starting all those projects here very soon. We have two different programs that we're going with, so we should be able potentially to help anywhere between 15 to 20 people or households, just depending on the projects themselves and how much they are and stuff like that, with a cap of 25,000 per person per household. Right now, we're still looking for different avenues to be able to come up with a down payment assistance program in the area, which is much needed, but unfortunately, we haven't been able to get any kind of resolution towards that. We are currently right now waiting for the Washington Community Land Trust to start building. We're wanting to say that it's going to be the breaking of the land will be most likely within the next 3 to 6 months. And then after the beginning of the construction, we are hoping that within 12 months, we will be able to start selling the first lot of the homes. So right now is the perfect time to reach out to us, to anybody that is interested in buying those homes, to get working with us, to getting approved, to getting the special financing that needs to get done. Besides that, Mariposa Village it seems like it's on track. Most likely it will be opening up to the public and the breaking of the whole entire building within the next year or so. So I want to say in January, December-ish is when they are going to cut the ribbon, but people again will actually start moving in here within the next couple of months, because I believe the first section of the home or the apartments have been built. They just got to pass inspection and then move forward with the rest of them.
And you're continuing progress on Chenoweth Loop project.
Yes. That one is definitely going to be started here, hopefully, knock on wood, within the next 6 to 12 months is the ideal time frame.
It's an interesting question. I know we're past the hour, but a thought for the future here, perhaps near future, question that Julie brought up about PSU population projections. You are in the business of building housing, affordable housing. So you must have some business cases that go into those projections. It's a topic we might want to explore. What's your take on potential growth of the Dalles for affordable housing? And it ties directly over to the school issue, school enrollment. So let's kind of put that one away as a note. And literally, I made a note to myself here on a couple of topics. And I think perhaps you, Karen, Liz, back and tackle that one. Talk about land trusts. I know that we're interested in talking about land trusts as well. That topic has been raised, and it's a fascinating
We
one.
actually have land trust models here in the Dalles. We are just needing funding to start them. We have literally got the design, we have the land, we got all the permits and everything. It's just now that we just need the funding to be able to start them and build them. Those are going to be kind of like townhouses. It's going to be a townhouse, so one big house split in half, obviously, townhouses here, and then a piece of land that's going to separate the next set of the homes. And that one's going to be 4 homes that are going to be sold, obviously, at a much lower available market value that is available as of right now. But
We'll talk about that one. We'll talk about that one. Let's keep that in
Yeah.
mind because those two issues play on each other. Affordability, affordable homes, and schools. With
Definitely.
that, everyone, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and we will see you next Thursday.